Well, hello and welcome back, or welcome to FULGAZ on the Map, our Tuesday night special. We're here in our Sydney studios. We've got the coffee beans are roasting. We can smell that. We've got some pretty cool bikes in the background. I'm Brad McGee. I'm the principal coach here at the MAP. What is the MAP? It's a learning and training platform designed to bring out your best. And as usual, in our Tuesday night specials, we've got some pretty cool guests. And I'm really excited to introduce and welcome Michell Ferris, a good friend of mine, a great friend of us here at the MAP. Michelle, welcome.
Thanks,
it's
Brad.
Really cool to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Now, we go way back, and we can talk a bit about that. But before we go there, the MAP, McGee Athlete Pathway, you are our speed and strength master coach.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I am.
How does that feel for you? We'll get into it. We know you as a sprint athlete, yep. But you've been doing a lot of coaching, not just in speed and strength, mind you, in the endurance field as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to speed and strength, tell me, what does that evoke from you as a coach?
I guess it's a little bit of excitement. I love the rush and the feel of being, fast and that maximum speed. And as a coach, bringing that into my passion to the athletes and riders, and sharing my journey, and hoping that they get that thrill the same as I do.
Who doesn't love going fast? Okay? Not everyone gets to do it like some over here, but let's talk about your journey. What we like to do here is go way back. When let's go there. How did you learn to ride a bike?
You know what? I can't really remember. It's just one of those things. I think it
born riding a bike.
I think it was, like most people. Dad got me on the bike and pushed me a little bit, pretended he was holding on the back, and don't really remember much of it, to be honest. I mean, one day I was just riding to school. Right. My brother as well. My sister took ages to learn to ride, and not coming from a sporting family at all, and I don't think mum and dad even knew how to ride a bike. So, it was just some way to get to school.
Okay.
And, I was into everything. I was into climbing trees and, pulling the bits of wood out the front of the house and making
jumps
with the kids next door. But yeah, I mean, it was just, sport was my passion right from when I can remember. And I did everything.
Yeah.
I tried everything at school. Netball, soccer, hockey, softball, all the things. Basketball, it's pretty crap at that. But yeah, sport was I was mad for it. And to get into cycling initially was just a way to get around from country Victoria.
Riding to school, getting around.
Can
you remember your first crash? Or any?
Pretty lucky.
Or you were born riding a bike and not crashing,
pretty lucky with a few at the front of the house.
Yeah.
The skin off the
surely
knee.
on those BMX ramps.
BMX ramps, absolutely. When you haven't got it right and let the wood pushes away and
the loose bricks underneath.
Oh, absolutely. But it's an interesting story how I actually got into racing. It was year 8. I was at St Anne's College in Warrnambool.
So we're country Victoria, down south.
Yep.
We've embraced you as a New South Welsh woman these days, but we accept things started country Victoria.
Yeah. I think when we first met, I was racing for Victoria.
For sure.
Colours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was year 8, and I wasn't really a fan of school. It wasn't really my thing, and. School was right next to the local hospital, and there was a charity bike ride in Victoria, which is called the Murray to Moyne.
Right.
It's a 24-hour relay from the top of Victoria to the bottom of Victoria.
Wow.
And raising funds for hospitals or health organisations. And they came across to the school, came to my PE class, said, we need a couple of riders. Who wants to join us? And I was like, well, what's involved? And they said, well, you'll have to take Friday off school. I was like, that's enough. I'm in. And
don't need any more details.
Yeah. So I went and joined this team and went along and was involved with some other riders who at that time, it's called professional riders, and Melbourne to Warrnambool, the big,
of course, the big one,
the historic Australian race.
Yep.
They'd had competed in that, and I was keeping up with them.
Right.
And some basic training. So they said, you really need to come out to
You really don't like school.
No. Yeah, so I mean, that's how I fell into racing. And then, you know, as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. So how old are you at this stage? Like, you at school?
Probably, what's your age? I guess that's about 14-ish, 13, 14?
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Because year 9's 15 when everything goes bananas for everyone. Yeah. Okay, so then you got into racing. Yep. But you said your parents weren't exactly into racing. Yeah. So what did that look like in the early club life and then opens and state teams and national championships?
I had some super supportive parents.
Yeah.
It was, you know, a situation where they could see that I was passionate about something, and my mum would do anything to get me to a bike race. You know, so my brother and sister would be left at home, unfortunately, and she would travel around the country, basically getting me to races. So, very thankful for that. You know, I went to my first national championships. I think it was '92 in Tasmania.
Yes, at Launceston.
Yeah.
That'd be right.
The first year they had junior women as a category.
Right.
And believe it or not, I was a pursuiter. Went there to ride the pursuit.
Yes.
Yep. Don't laugh.
No, not at all. We know very much Enemies, who were basically you were a pioneer in women's sprint. Enemies her career came a bit later, but she also started as a pursuiter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all about that finding your space, finding what you're good at. And you know, I went to the nationals and competed, and you know, didn't do that great, but it was all about having a go. And the Victorian team were like, you know, we need a rider to ride the sprint. Who wants to do it? And I was like, well, I've never ridden a sprint before. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I went up and qualified fastest, and I was quicker than the senior women who were also trying to vie for Barcelona spots.
Of course, yeah.
And you know, again, a few weeks later, I was called up by the AIS and asked to move across to Del Monte, and that's where we got to spend some time together.
And we did, because soon after we were in a national team together, Perth World.
Oh, yeah.
And that was around about the time that the Sydney Olympics was announced.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we're racing at a home world championships under 19s, and things are going pretty good. Yep. But already you got some focus on you from the national team. Before that. But we've got to remind ourselves that what was women's sport at that stage. And cycling was archaic. It was in the dark ages. So I use the word pioneer. I don't use that lightly, but it wasn't easy.
No.
There was no clear path. There was no path.
Oh, we were making that path. We were figuring it out. We were working
for blokes like me, it was relatively bloody easy.
Yeah.
There was a clear path. You know, there was a lot of emphasis, but you drove and you cut that path.
Yeah, I mean, it was at the time, at the age, it was kind of just a part of the process, you know. And looking back at it now, I can really see the challenges and the difficulties that we've gone through. I know that I've been always very vocal about how I felt I was looked after, supported. But I think that, you know, there's many riders from that era, Kathy Watt, Julie Spate, you know, they're the pioneers as well. I mean, I guess we've all paved the way for the riders now. But, you know, it wasn't easy.
Not at all. Yeah.
But I think I can say now that it wasn't easy for the coaching staff. And they didn't know what to do with us either.
They had no idea.
And, you know, so I've spent all these times talking about this is bad, and I felt I should have done this and I should have done that. But, you know, as I've gotten older, I've really been able to sort of separate that and say it's tough for them too. They didn't know what to do with us. I mean, most of the time it was me with the boys.
Absolutely,
You know, what do you do with that when you're taking a teenage girl with a bunch of guys?
That's the reality, isn't it? Like
overseas
and
training camps.
And I mean, I could draw one story when we went to Junior Worlds after Perth was Ecuador. Yep. And we had to travel. Like, who made this decision is beyond me. That these two teenage kids would travel from Ecuador through the States, about 3 or 4 airport stops, and get our way up to Canada for a pre-Com Games camp.
That's right.
And we're just on our own. We had no money.
Nothing.
We had 150 kilograms of equipment. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because the excess bill they were showing a few times. But we made it happen.
We did.
Yeah.
It was
but that's outstanding. Like
challenging.
Like young teenagers, a young teenage girl, just make your own way up there. I think we were a good team.
We were.
We arrived.
Yeah.
But there's some of the circumstances that we'll put through. In hindsight, it was just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I often get asked if it's something that a process that I would go through again. And I've always said yes, I would. Yes, I would. But recently, I'm sort of, I don't know whether I would say that I would do that. I got results. I got better results than I ever thought I would have. And so there's a moment where you go, did all that adversity, did all that tough time make me get where I got?
Yeah, right.
Is my achievement based on the added challenges?
Yeah. If it was an easy path,
exactly.
Would that produce that, killer instinct and toughness on the bike and ability to make those moves?
Absolutely. I mean, I can certainly remember mornings waking up thinking, I don't think I've slept. I don't know how I'm going to do this again. And there was an added motivation every single day to prove people wrong because of, there's many negative comments along the way, as well as supportive comments. And you sort of wonder whether it's every part, or all the elements that come together to get you to here.
Yeah.
And if that path was smooth, would that result have been the same?
Yeah, wow. And I'm sitting here thinking, is the passionate coach that you are today, has that enabled that journey enabled that, and your willingness and eagerness to give back? Yeah,
I think one of the biggest things that I've learned becoming a coach is that it's about involving the athlete,
right,
and really allowing them to have a say in the process as well. And my experience from a coach athlete perspective is that I was always told what to do. Women particularly.
Those 11-month training programs you get at the start of the year. Do that. As females, we tend to ask more questions. We tend to ask why. And I never felt like I was in an environment where I could ask, why are we doing this? It was always like, you're doing this because this is what we're doing. Don't ask questions. Yep.
I'm the one that's going to get you your achievements. I'm going to help you to get there. And so for me, it's now about a collaboration. It's about joining together and listening to what the athlete has to say about their journey and where they want to get, because, it's their body, it's their mind. They know what their day-to-day is. How are they fitting their training in around family, friends, life, work? And so it's a huge collaboration. I think it's a learning experience every single day for me as a coach. It's
so cool, Michelle. Before we go there, we've sort of breezed over, a large part of your cycling journey. Now, behind us here is Atlanta Olympics. 2 Olympic Games, multiple World Championships. Where do you want to go? What stands out when you think back and reflect on your racing career? Maybe go there, like highlights, best feeling on the bike. Where did you feel it all came together at its peak, and what did that feel like?
So it's always a great question, and I think I've been asked that numerous times, and every time I think I've answered, I've come up with something different because I think of a different moment, right?
That's pretty cool.
I think nothing will ever beat 96 Olympics because it was a huge surprise and a shock to get the results that I did. I went in as a 17, 18-year-old, first major competition, no expectations. The goal was to go there, learn about racing at that environment, in that pressure point, and we're getting you to Sydney. So we want you to learn about this process and then get results in Sydney. And, it came together. Qualification, Olympic record, which stood for 12 years. This young kid.
So I'm technically on 90-inch gear would have been?
I think it was 94.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
94.
Wow. You're going big.
Yeah, we're going big. Huge. And it was big.
It was. It was breaking limits. It was breaking mindsets.
Wow.
Put the big dog on and went for it.
So
on that tight little board track.
I really liked that track, actually. It was good. It's that silver medal. I also got the opportunity to meet Greg Lamont.
Yeah.
Got out for dinner with him.
What a hero.
Which is my hero. Through,
I think we've got a question from Vaughnie's just fielded a question, and it's a good question because here we are getting real techie, as two old trackies do. What is 94? 94 is an arbitrary number that sort of tells us what size the gear was on. Yep. So 94. I'm just trying to remember the combinations.
Is it 48-14?
48-14. So you think of your road bike, your big ring's normally about a 53. So it'll be 53-15. So it'll be mid-cassette and your big ring.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're talking, over 120 cadence.
Yeah. Oh, more.
Yeah.
What was your time?
At the time was 12.21 at the time.
On outdoor track.
Outdoor track, steel bike.
Yeah.
Disc on the back, Shmal on the front.
Oh, God.
It was just... it was great. It was one of those moments where everything come together, right? The line, the qualification. Tactically, rode well during the rounds, and on the day was beaten by a 10-time world champion, who we had battles for years.
Yeah, great battles.
Great battles, But so that's always going to be one of my favorites. I was the fittest I've ever been. You feel everything's right. I even had abs. God, I'm going to think about that time. Now I've just got added layers. One race I think was just before Sydney Olympics. Actually, was racing Ballinger in the World Cup in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Big outdoor 400-meter track.
Yes. Yep.
Fiorenzola, I think.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah. Yep. That was one of those times where it just came together.
Mm-hmm.
I rode her tactically well. I rode from the front instead of the back, which was my normal. And I won that World Cup event. It was the first time that I beat her.
Yep.
So they're probably my two moments.
What was the victory salute like?
Oh, it was always just the
one. Just the one. Yeah. I think we need to put that.
Bikes,
we need to put that on the map. There needs to be a segment. What's the victory salute?
Yeah.
You prepare for the victory.
That's it.
Yeah. Whether it's
one-handed, is it the half one, like a Kathy
little fist pump, maybe.
Fist pump,
Yeah. Just a nod.
Yeah. Everyone has their way.
Yeah. So after the break, we're going to really dig into that tactical segment as it applies. So it'd be great to get your insight on that.
Awesome.
If you're happy to move on, and because we could sit in that space forever. We could tell our war stories forever. And this will come out as we dig deeper into the map and that speed and strength element that you're going to bring in. Just really looking forward to unpacking that and diving deep into some of those segments and picking them to pieces. But what's got your attention now in the world of speed and strength? And if you want to stay on cycling, that's fine. If you want to go anywhere else, but what's sort of got your attention at the moment?
I think right now I'm looking forward to watching track worlds that are coming up in October in France.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're better.
Oh, yes. Saint-Quentin.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is it. Remember this one. If you're in France and you're asking how to find Saint-Quentin, it can be very confusing because it sounds like the number 51.
Got it.
Yep. So, watch that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, we've got such a, in the sprint team at the moment, such good power athletes and really interesting to watch.
Some youngsters coming through too.
Yeah, some great ones. I mean, we had some really good results at junior world titles.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's,
for the first time for a while.
Yeah. Great to see junior worlds back on the calendar.
Yep. Just hold that one, or maybe we can. Vaughnie's sprinting right now.
Definitely live.
That was a new record, I reckon, Vaughan. Yeah, I've never seen him move so fast, and you haven't even coached him yet.
We haven't done any speed or power with Vaughan yet.
When I think about world sprinting on the track, I'm constantly drawn towards those two big Dutchies in the male sprint.
Yeah.
And I believe at least one, maybe two of them came from BMX, which is quite interesting. Yeah. And they're big brutes of like just physically imposing, riding big gears, but obviously still able to turn it.
Yeah.
And you think of the evolution of speed and strength and power in cycling, and the fact that we can gear ourselves, to accommodate our physical strength. Yeah. But it's also the mindset that's needed to, like we said, you put on 94, which that arbitrary number, it was probably 3 or 4 points bigger. Yeah. But that was breaking a mental limit. But now they're on, if you're thinking about the numbers, they're on probably 125, 130.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
Definitely. Yeah. And, it's completely different to back in, I hate saying back in my day, the way that we trained was always about that balance of being able to push the gear, but also pedaling, because it's about, one, you need to be able to get up and going fast. If you're riding that, imagine you're cat and mouse and you're riding really slowly in the bends, which is something they don't do now because of those big gears, and being able to get that up quickly. And so that's the benefit of the smaller gear, obviously. And it's also changed the racing as well. Personally, I don't think it's exciting anymore because it's taken away that real tactical type element. I mean, you still got to be tactical now, but it's different because you're incorporating that big gear. Races are going faster earlier. Yeah,
longer. Long sprints.
You need to be long sprinter now. You can't be a short, sharp sprinter and just hold it, and then that last half lap. You don't see that anymore. So it's definitely changed a lot.
So Worlds are coming up, and you're going to be. That's an interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look forward to that one.
How the guys are going for that. We've also got a Masters female athlete that I'm coaching. The world titles are coming up for her.
Brilliant.
So we've been working hard over the last couple of months, final preparation for that, and
maybe we can dig into that one a bit after the break as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Talk a bit of tactics. Yeah, bit of prep.
I love it. But I mean, I'm also AFLW started up again. Look at athletes that have endurance and power. In that sporting element as well. AFL Grand Final on this weekend, being Victorian.
Of course,
there's lots of stuff. I can watch any sport. Any sport, but they're my main ones at the moment. The track worlds and AFLW.
A little unknown fact is you had a bit of a stint playing. Was it rugby or rugby league?
Yeah,
was it rugby league?
Right. I joined a local club here in New South Wales. Did one season. The first game I ended up in a moon boot.
Right.
My foot was out for a few games, and then by the time I got back, I then got absolutely pummeled in a tackle and broke some ribs. So,
my goodness. That's so much respect, though, Michelle. I was just thinking,
Don't forget the time I did a triathlon.
Also.
And Ironman.
And some mountain biking.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, you're into everything, aren't you?
Like it.
Yeah, love it.
Give me a challenge, just bucket list items. I did an Ironman, full Ironman.
Just did an Ironman.
Just wanted to see what it was like.
So Olympic sprint silver medalist, multi-world champion medalist, all sprint, which is that 200-meter sprint, 1,000-meter total, power, short, sharp efforts.
Maximum.
And then you go and do a all-day triathlon. I'm assuming they take a long time, don't they?
13 hours, 21 minutes. It was the Keith Young shuffle by the end of it,
but you were out there. Oh my God.
Crazy. Sprinters are crazy.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to see what's next. So after the break, we're going to dig into our segments. Our segments are fundamentals, physical, tactical, technical, and mental. And we're going to pick apart the physical bit, strength, while we've got an expert here. The tactical, we'll talk a bit about sprinting, and we'll just touch on our favourite rate of perceived exertion, RPE, and what it means for a sprinter mindset. So that'll be after the break. Hang around, and we'll continue with Michell Ferris, our guest tonight, good friend, and we're going to talk sprint, speed, strength right after the break.
We've teamed up and come up with this great initiative to get you involved. whether you're at school, at work, or at home. 66 sit-ups every day for 21 consecutive days. Why 66? Every 6 minutes, someone attempts suicide. So we want to help bring that number down. We want to get the conversation started, and we want to get movement going. Movement equals medicine. So, take on this challenge solo, join a team, or even start a team. There's a little sweetener too. Sign up 10 people, and you'll go to a draw to win a Fiji holiday. So, guys, what are you waiting for? Let's get the movement going, let's get into the team, let's get those 66 sit-ups out. Any questions, hit us up. We look forward to supporting you through this great course.
Welcome back here to FULGAZ on the Map, our Tuesday special. I'm Brad McGee, the principal coach here at the McGee Athlete Pathway. Special guest and head coach of speed and strength, Michell Ferris, Olympic silver medalist and all-round legend. And we've been talking about Michelle's journey on the bike and other things, other adventures. And now we're going to dig into some of our MAP sectors and segments, being physical and tactical. And straight up, we're going to dig into a favourite of ours here, rate of perceived exertion, our 1 to 10 scale. What's a 10 for you, Michelle?
Ooh, I think it's eyes closed, mouth open, every muscle flexed, and absolute, can you say, balls out?
You can say whatever you want.
It's a maximal effort. It's every muscle is contracting. It's just all or nothing. I think there's no breathing.
Right.
10 seconds or more. It's just absolute max.
Yep. No room for breathing because
no breathing.
That's using muscles that don't push down on the pedals.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I like that.
So I think that's probably the best way to describe me.
Okay.
10, and then it's on the floor.
Now, Norm,
about 30
there, with the after effect, is it bring a bucket material too? Are you a spewer?
Not really,
I was a spewer.
No, you were.
Big spewer. Yeah.
It's like, where's the head in the bucket?
I learned to eat very soft foods for pre-meal. Yeah. What's a one? What's a one?
That is just really easy gear and just pedaling it out.
Okay.
Full breath, talking.
Yep.
Full conversation.
Okay.
Then conversing, chatting.
Okay.
Nothing, good.
And so I'm assuming as in your background, you'd go from a 1 to an 8, 9, or 10. There wasn't much work in between until you did all those adventures post.
Yeah.
Retirement.
As a track sprinter, it's you're doing the wind up of your 200, for instance, and that starts at a 1. You're slowly building, but you're not spending much time in that 3, 4, or 5, and then it's that explosive.
Bang.
It's just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's some of the what's an effort you might prescribe in that 8, 9, or 10 area now? Like what's the time length of the effort or the repeatability? Just an example there?
I mean, if we're talking track, where it's anywhere from a standing start out of the gate, which is probably around that 6 to 15 seconds, and then in a flying, you're looking at 50 meters to 150 meters to 200, even your 350, depending on what you're working on at that time of the cycle. It's all to do with the athlete as well. Which is, I think, the beauty of athletes. It's different for all of them, and what my 8 or 10 is completely different to you. I mean, if you're leading Cookie out at the tour,
I've been at 9 for like 5K.
Probably
but unable to go 10 because I'm already gassed.
So it's different in terms of what event you're doing, what training session you're doing. And for a track sprinter, you're talking about you doing that 6 to 15 second effort maximum, and then you're spending anywhere from 20 to 40 minute recovery.
That's right.
Because you want to do that maximum effort again. So to be able to do 10 again, you need full recovery.
But I've seen sprint athletes, the New South Wales Institute of Sport. We had Maxie Housen, young gun from Wagga, real standing start specialist. And early season, he'd do one effort and have his head in the bucket for that 40 minutes.
That's right.
So it's not like just taking it easy for 40 minutes. The physiological response to a real sprint power athlete is massive. And therefore, we need to sort of realise when we're prescribing training or athletes are making their own choice that their bodies will respond differently to their mates.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got a question coming in from Vaughnie. You want to go there? Why is strength sprint important for climbing? Yes, well, we will touch on that next. That's exactly where we want to go. It's a great debate. Where can strength and power come into for endurance athletes? Ready to go there now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all right, beauty. So off our physical segment, we get into the sectors of strength. And I'll just throw it out to open that debate up. Does increasing our strength or power as an endurance athlete benefit our endurance, in particular our functional threshold power? So if my FTP is at, and I'll use my old numbers, is at 400, it's not anymore.
Okay.
It's dropped off considerably, like by half.
Is there still a 4 in it?
No, maybe a 204, but what in my max, so I'll go my old numbers. 400 would be my functional threshold power, and my peak power would be about 1,000 watts, maybe a bit more, but just for, if I was able to increase my peak power to 1,200 watts, then relatively my FTP is sitting lower. And does it maybe not necessarily increase by 400 watts, but the efficiency at 400 watts improves? So that was some of the debate, and this has been going on for decades. What's your take on it? Is there something to be considered there? What do we do with strength and power training for our endurance athletes?
I think it all depends on the athlete. And, we were chatting before about the type of training they're doing, the physiology, I can't even say it.
The engine, the physiology
of the athlete, the time they have to train. But I think in a simple yes or no, I think yes, there is an increase. There should be.
Yeah.
But, again, you're talking about whether you have an athlete who is time poor.
Yeah.
Are they using the time that they have to train efficiently?
Right.
Are they just going out on the weekend and spending time doing junk miles?
Yes. So I like that term.
Yeah.
Junk, no one likes the term, but what it means, Tell us more about that. I love your take on that.
Yeah,
when we were talking about this earlier.
I think this is where, what I'm using now, sidestep. Last year I trained about 7 athletes to do 3 peaks.
Right.
And all 7 of them finished. And so you're talking about someone who's a sprint athlete training athletes to ride up hills for a very long time. And I think I used a lot of my sprint mentality and sprint training about quality over quantity.
Yep.
And a lot of these athletes were parents, full-time jobs. And so you had to make the time count.
Yep.
And, a good friend of mine, Jess Douglas, who's, one of the most awesome endurance athletes out there in the mountain bike scene, said to me, it's about making the time count. And it doesn't mean that you have to, you're doing a 10-hour ride. You don't have to go and ride 10 hours all the time. It's about little bits, and that's the quality of that. So it's about getting that right and matching that with the time that you have. Jumping on FULGAZ, doing quality 30, 40 minutes is probably better than getting out on the weekend.
Just rolling those junk miles, low cadence, no real pedal efficiency gotcha.
And really structuring that time that you have and making the most out of it. And I think people who can get that right will have significant increase in results than people who just, spend morning and night training. And there's plenty of people out there that do that. And it will work for them as well. So again, it comes down to that individual athlete and how they respond.
Right. Something we, during my time as a sports director, World Tour, Saxo Bank, and I dragged it in from my own athletic career, was where to fit in gym work and, and real strength training in the gym as an endurance professional road rider. we play with a couple of different formats there. But what's your take on that, having worked with some endurance athletes?
Yeah.
Is there consideration there? I know you're going to go there. It depends on the athlete because you're all about the individuals. But have you got some experience there of where it can work or where it doesn't work or things to look out for?
I think it will work for everybody. Again, when you're talking about putting in the right time.
Yeah.
And if you've got time for it. I mean, if you've got time to add gym to your program, then definitely. And it's about where it fits in.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've been learning over the last few years, talking to Lynn Munro, who's head sprint coach,
fantastic coach,
national team, is that it's about putting little bits of the process in all the time.
Right.
So back when we were training, you do a strength block, and it was about gym, big gears, road track, climbing Norton Summit, 10
big
gears.
Yep.
There was also a time when we had to sit on the ergo for 10 minutes with our hands behind our back to really, just using our legs. But now it's different. It's like doing some strength, but putting some speed in there as well, because you have an athlete who's just flogging it out all the time. They never feel fast. They forget what it feels like to feel fast.
Yep.
So it's about putting all the bits and pieces. So
I like that.
Gym is, you used to at the start, but I think it's got its points all along the way, to be honest.
That's interesting,
for female athletes.
Yep.
Particularly older athletes with menopause and
we know that maintain that strength is key, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the best, well, not the best way, but a good way is in the gym.
Yeah.
If you know how to move.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's So I think like a lot of training now, it's not say do this here, do this there, do this here. Sometimes it's about put a little bit in all the way.
I like that.
But again,
keeps it interesting too. Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it comes back down to the individual as well. And tying it all in with time and what they've got.
Well, it's interesting you pick up on that because that's sort of where we got to in the pros. And I was coaching a number of athletes through the pro peloton, and it consists today. Hang on, I've got another question coming through. How do I get the most out of my weekend coffee ride? From Andy. I'm hearing a little bit of everything all the time, but well orchestrated.
Yes.
Well, this is what we would do in the pros. We'd actually drop the gym session in on the Monday. So you come home from a weekend of racing or a week of racing. You've got a week of training before you go away and race again. Where are you going to do that high power strength work? Well, we actually dropped it in on the Monday. Why? Well, you actually weren't fatigued at that energy requirement because you've been doing all this endurance racing. And in a way, if you kept it short and just went in and just hit high, your max lifts, you actually get that lovely hormone response, and that recovery was enabled by the gym session. The sort of, you had to get your head around it, but you tried a few times and it really persisted. We found that athletes were able to maintain, if not increase, their max power in the gym during a pro road season.
And are you doing like one session?
What we found, if you're in that gym at least between 5 and 10 days, if you went any more than 10 days, and again, it depends on the athlete, any more than 10 days, you can see a drop off. But if you got in there and just sort of build those bridges, it was really impactful. Yeah.
It's interesting because, back when we were training, you did your gym block at the start and you didn't tap away from it. And I think it's the thing that I've seen dramatically over the last decade or more now is that little bits along the way, maintaining it.
Back to the question, how do we go fast the weekend coffee ride? Well, my philosophy here, and I got this from sprint coaches, Sean Eady in particular, go hard and short and eventually go long. So in a classic week, what does that look like? Yeah, short, sharp, hard efforts early in the week, and then eventually you're going long. So this fits for going fast in the coffee shop ride on the weekend. You can do all your hard stuff early, and then by the time the weekend comes around, you've recovered a little bit from that. And if you choose to, you can drop the hammer and really impress your mates. Win that post-caffeine hit sprint. I hope they're still not sprinting for pedestrian crossings. I don't know why we did that back in the day, but that was ridiculous. But you do want to get one up on your mates on the coffee shop ride. Even though it's a coffee shop ride, there's still a bit of a competitive element.
Talking about that, that's something that we've discussed before about, getting in that short, sharp at the start of the week. Or it may even be, you might run a 14-day cycle. It might not be a 7-day.
There you go.
And so
if you've got the time, ideal, 100%.
And so you run that, as you explained, you run the short, sharp point of your training early on because that's when you need all your energy.
That's it.
Because you're getting the maximum effort.
You got your focus, you got your energy, you know, you got the drive.
Yeah, and as the time goes, or the week goes by, or into that second week, you start bringing in your endurance element of your training.
Which you're kind of looking forward to, aren't you?
Right?
Yeah, because
exactly.
you're too buggered to go hard, so you just go long.
Yeah, exactly. You just sit in there.
Eventually you do an Ironman.
Exactly. But, you know, again, you know, I know I keep talking about it. It's that individual athlete. I think that's what's really cool about being able to train athletes now is to really, you know, not work on this one size fits all.
Well, what I really like too, and pick up for what we want to do on the MAP is have fun. And where we found that works is including those skill elements and making them really fun. And it's surprising the load you get out of the skill sessions. Like there's still a load there, but it's a sneaky load because it's so fun if it's, you know, designed well. So you can also work on some of those little speed and some of your tactics. You know, I like that though. A little bit of everything all the time. Just it's got to be curated in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, going back to before, it's like a speed athlete. Even if you're a road sprinter, you like to go fast. You like to feel that what it feels like to go fast. And so having a little bit of that memory for the mind and also the body. Oh, this is what it feels like to go fast, even though I'm working on strength.
So I do that now. I just turn my computer off and I ride alone and I pretend I'm Greg Van Avermaet, you know, just super smooth. And that, actually, I bring that up. It's you know, slightly in jest, but composure. Yeah. So, you know, what does doing strength work, speed work, you know, over your limits, looking to increase those things, but what does it do for our composure on the bike? If you think back to your track sprinting days, or, you know, maybe what it looks like now when you're coaching endurance athletes, where does composure come in?
When you say composure, what I think of immediately is more about your body position and how you're sitting on the bike.
Right.
And I think one thing that I was very good at was that my arms weren't going everywhere, my shoulders weren't everywhere. It was just my core strength was solid.
So even when you're under full tilt, you know, because of your strength and the work you did to get it, maintain that composure, which kept you aero and breathing correctly, and you're able to complete the sets.
So composure to me is being able to, you know, have maximum speed, maximum cadence, maximum strength, but with everything all together.
And still look good.
And, it's all about that.
All right, we've got another question. Right, Michelle, this one's for you. Oof. How do you maintain your mental commitment when you have an arch nemesis like Felicity Belanger from Sammy?
Well,
now let's
be the honest.
For those that don't know her record, you mentioned it. Was it 10 world championships in a row?
Yes.
In a track sprint? And you're this up and comer? Yeah. You go to toe to toe in Atlanta, and then your whole career was essentially racing with her. Yeah.
Look, I've spent the last many years trying to get it out of my head that I was the bridesmaid, second all the time. And something that I still work on today. But in terms of the mental aspect of it, I will be honest, I really struggled with it. And I think that had a lot to do with my age. Yep. The process and program that I was going through. Some days I was able to really manage it and be really on. Yep. And then some days I didn't. And that's okay. And it's about acknowledging that, you know, the same old thing. It's okay not to be okay. And it's sometimes you would then, talking in the third person, I would then try and reframe that moment and that event and really look at little elements that I wanted to work on.
Right. Okay.
So instead of letting my mind get on top of me and really take over the event, and again, sometimes it did, and just breaking it down, like today, all right, I'm going to, we talked about in Italy when I decided to ride from the front. Right, at that World Cup. Instead of riding from the back. It's about changing little parts of that event. Waking up and not feeling so good, changing the mindset, changing the mentality, and, you know, switching it around to not always be, I'm going to go and win today. Not on today, but let's pull something out of it.
So what I'm hearing is that there's an element of the outcome goal. You know, I know you're a killer. You are after the win. You're going for it, but you're able to break it down to those process goals. You know, let's dissect that a little bit and go for those individual sectors that contribute to that outcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Super cool.
Otherwise, you know, and I think that I've learned that over the years. I actually learned a lot from you when it comes to mindset. I used to always watch your preparation for events, and you were just always switched on. I'm like, how do you do that?
On the race day, sure, but like you, I went through all that turmoil, and you know, and it was on and off, and you know, I've got it, I've lost it, you know.
Exactly.
But those I can recall days when you just got it all together, you know, and you're planning your protocols, and then I'm not saying it made it easy, but it just made you go fast and enjoy it.
Well, that's an interesting point too. You're talking about your protocols. I mean, it's about having a routine that some part of your day or your race is the same.
Yeah.
So your race routine is the same. So your process and your protocols, you stick to it. So that doesn't change, and it helps to keep, I guess, that mental element in check because it's something that you have control of.
Michelle, we've been through a lot today, and I look forward to unpacking so much more. But as a friend and, you know, someone we've experienced many campaigns and cool journeys together, I look forward to what our next looks like.
Yeah.
Can't thank you enough for coming in here tonight. It's been well received. Once again, just can't wait for what's next year. So thank you. Yeah, look forward to next time.
Thanks, bro.
Michelle. That's a wrap for us. Look forward to our next Tuesday special, FULGAZ on the Map. Yeah.